If I traded it all.
Welcome back, everyone. We're live on Facebook still, and I want to say hi to everybody out there, and we're going to be sharing the show afterwards. I am very excited about bringing on my next guest, too. I have with me Dr. Valentin, and she's the owner of Center for Integrated Medicine. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your story, and then what we're going to talk about today.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of one of the unusual people. So I went to medical school when I was 54 years old. And I graduated 3 years ago. I did the program in 4 years. So I graduated when I was 58. And I just finished a 2-year kind of like a residency in December. And I opened my own private clinic in January on Tatum Boulevard by Bell. So it's kind of like by the 101 and the 51.
Well, congratulations, first of all. Yeah.
But the reason I went to med school so late was because after my third child was born, I was bleeding. You know, I had blood clots the size of softballs. And I bled, and I went to the ER. They sent me home. I hemorrhaged again, went to the doctor, got sent home. And eventually, it was the 5th time I hemorrhaged. Luckily, I was in the ER, but I had what's called a near-death experience, and I left my body, went to the other side. And it put me on this very spiritual journey, and that's why I ended up going to med school when I was 54 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah, and now I'm writing a book about my journey, so that's coming out in November, and it's going to the editor in about a week.
Well, we're going to have you back on to talk about that. Now, today you said you wanted to talk a little bit about menopause, and we're really talking women today. I know men can have it, but you really are focusing on women right now.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about men. Men aren't as complicated as women, and that's just the truth because women have so many hormones that need to be balanced. So it's a whole different ball game. You know, women go into what's called perimenopause first, and that's when they start missing a period, and they understand that, you know, they're going into that transition phase. But a lot of women don't understand, you know, how long this takes, and this can go on for, 6 to 13 years.
We know.
And so, women come in and they say, am I going through the changes now, or what's going on? And they're familiar with some of the symptoms, which is the hot flashes and missing the menstrual cycle, but they're not familiar with a lot of the other symptoms that happen.
Like what?
So there are a lot of things that happen when a woman goes through the transition. So the first thing that happens is that she misses her period, and then she gets the hot flashes, and that's what makes her realize that. But then there's so many other things like anxiety, depression, panic attacks, even heart palpitation, indigestion, even urinary tract infections, incontinence. And, estrogen controls over 400 functions in the body. And people aren't familiar with all these other problems that go on. So then they go to the regular doctor and they say, I have heart palpitations or I have indigestion. And they get medications for these things when, in fact, the cause of their problem was really an imbalance in the hormones.
So what do you do with a client that comes in and tells you that what is the steps that you take to help them?
So the first thing we do is we go through, what kind of symptoms are they experiencing? Many times I get women that say, well, I don't think it's my hormones. I've been in menopause for, 10 or 15 years. Well, the fact is that the hormones keep dipping, they keep dropping year after year, and eventually they get so low that, now they're experiencing all these other, problems, but they're thinking that they're done with menopause because they had hot flashes, and that was 10 years ago. But now they have all these other problems. And many times I get women coming and saying they have memory problems. Well, if the estrogen is actually used as a supplement sort of to prevent Alzheimer's disease because it stimulates choline acetyltransferase. And so it's actually used preventative for Alzheimer's. But people don't think of estrogen being used as that. So when I get people coming and saying I have memory problems, my mother had Alzheimer's disease, the first thing that I think about is, we have to check your hormones because maybe it's just the hormones that have come down so far that now they're having all these other experiences and problems and symptoms.
Sure. Now, you said that you're located in North Phoenix at Tatum and Bell, and you're going to do some giveaway today, and it's a free for women. This is for women. We're talking women right now, guys. It is a free hormone saliva test.
Right.
Tell them about that.
Right. So this is a saliva test. So it's very simple. It's like $180 value. And what it will do is I give you a little package, and you bring it home, and there are 4 little tubes in that package, and you're going to spit into this tube, which takes about 5 or 10 minutes, 4 times, in one day. There's 4 tubes for 4 different saliva collections. And then you mail it in. The shipping is already included. And then what that measures is all the different estrogens. Women have 3 different estrogens: progesterone, testosterone, and DHEA, and the morning cortisol. So all these hormones for a woman, they all talk to each other. And it's like an orchestra playing, and they all have to be in balance.
So everyone's going to get entered in to win this. It's $180 value, free to you or anyone that you know. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Your website is cinmed.org, and your phone number direct is 602-888-2320. Call in here if you're a woman. It doesn't matter. Again, this is what I love about my show. It's information. You might be a man and you're saying, I can't live with my wife anymore. Call in here and get her this test, because it could be just a simple hormonal imbalance, and it could be fixed very simply. So this is a free hormone saliva test. It's $180 value, free to you or anyone you know. 602-277-5369. I want to come down to the other thing that you offer, because you're also offering something that's for everyone, and that's a little different that you do. So what is that?
That is called the Corin-specific technique. It was developed by a chiropractor. His name is Ted Corin, about 20 years ago in the early 2000s. And what it does, it allows adjustments of, the spine or the lumbar. People have neck pain, back pain, but it's without the twisting and the turning and the cracking. A lot of people don't go to the chiropractor because they don't like to be cracked. This is a very gentle system that uses a tool that does a gentle kind of tapping, almost like you're tapping with your finger on the body, and it fixes those subluxations. It is absolutely amazing. But what's incredible with this system is that it uses kind of a muscle testing technique. So those of you that are familiar with kinesiology, the practitioner asks questions to the body and will get answers. And that's how the different problems are identified. But because you can ask the body questions, it can also treat emotional problems. It can treat ADD, ADHD, dyslexia. So it doesn't only treat, neck pain, back pain, TMJ, shoulder pain, knee pain, the traditional things that we think of a chiropractic treating.
But now I want to make it clear that you're a medical doctor.
Yes.
And you both do integrated medicine, which means that you do both, a little bit of both, where if you have natural medicine and if they need something that's a little bit not. Is that correct?
Right. So I'm a naturopathic physician, so that means that I'm trained in homeopathy, botanical medicine. I'm licensed for acupuncture, but I'm also trained in pharmaceutical medicine and regular nutrition and all those things. But it's the tool bag is so much bigger because I can use the different treatment methods for make it fit the person.
Now, this particular is called a Korean. What is it? A Korean specific?
Corin.
Okay, Corin. Say what it is.
A Corin specific technique.
Now we're going to get everybody entered in to win that. Okay, so you can either choose whichever one. You can, if you want to have that done. If you're dealing, that's for almost anything.
That's for anything. I mean, the Corin specific technique, you can treat infants.
So it doesn't matter.
No.
So
age does not matter.
We've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered in to win either the Corin-specific technique or the free hormone saliva test. That's $180 value for you guys out there. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Before we go to a break, give me one example of somebody that you use this Corin-specific technique on. That might be different.
That might be different. I usually check people for everything when they come in the first time. So I go through the whole system, all the way from the cranial bones to the cervical bones to the lumbar, anterior, posterior, extremities. And then I go through the whole emotional aspects and see if there's any problems emotionally, any dyslexia, anything that's emotional trauma that they're holding on to, and sometimes people aren't even aware. And you say, hey, how did it happen that you have a knee problem in your right knee?
I'll tell you something. If you're imbalanced, it doesn't matter whether it's your
Right.
hormones or your body.
Right.
You need this. So again, our number here is 602-277-5369. It's cinmed.org. Hold on tight. We'll be back in just a minute. So welcome back, everyone. And we're talking with Dr. Lottie Valentin. And so she's the owner of Center for Integrated Medicine. And we've been talking a little bit about, well, the first thing is women's and their hormones. We've got our lines open here for anyone. If you're dealing with any kind of, it doesn't have to be hot flashes anymore. It's more than that. It could even be that you're even older. Because you can be older and still be going through menopause. The way I read what you said. Mm-hmm. And so if you're dealing with any of these issues, call in. You're going to get entered in to win. It's for women only, a free hormone saliva test. It's $180 value free to you. Check her out on her website. She's pretty cool, guys. It is CINMED, so CINmed.org. You can call her direct if you like. Her phone number is 602-888-2320. But call in here, get entered in to win this. This is an awesome start. 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. She uses all sorts of modalities, and one of them is this corn-specific technique. Are you the only one that does this here? Do you know?
There aren't that many practitioners. I've been receiving the treatment myself for over 2 years, and it was actually my own chiropractor that suggested I train in it.
Okay, so it's called corn-specific techniques. So she uses that, too, to balance you as well. So, and you're getting entered in to win that. So, men, you can call in for that as well. So our number here again, 602-277-5369. When we were at a break, you were just amazing with all the different avenues that you actually have on you or about yourself. Right. And what you said, I'm just really out there, Carol. And what did you mean by that?
So what I meant by that is that I'm working as a physician about 3 days a week, but during the other time I work for another business that is called Divine Spiritual Essence, and I teach people how to become psychic, how to become mediums. I am a medium myself, meaning I can communicate with the spirit world and bring messages through from loved ones that have passed over to the other side. And it is those near-death experiences that I had over 20 years ago that made me this way, though my teachers tell me that I was always this way. And to a certain extent, that is true. But it is the experiences that sort of brought all this to the forefront. And I became clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, meaning I could see things before they happened, or I heard things before they happened. And I would tell the family, I said, we're going to be in a car accident. There's a scratch on the door. It looks like this. And, 2 weeks later, there is the accident. And so they're all verifiable events. And, after a long time of this happening for 12 years, actually, to be exact, I was guided to become a doctor and go to medical school. So,
and again, tell people at the break, because they might have not heard, when you started your
I started medical school when I was 54. So, and I started my, prereqs a lot sooner. It was in 2004 that I was guided to go to medical school. And then I had to actually start from the beginning with high school biology and high school chemistry in order to take the prereqs, because I grew up in Europe, in the country of Sweden. And I moved to the United States when I was 21 and went to college here in the United States. But because I didn't have any of those science classes, I had to start from really the beginning. So It took me like 3.5, 4 years just to keep, do all those different prereq classes to get in. And there were many times I thought, I must have lost my brain, because who does this?
Right.
Who goes to medical school or even applies to medical school? But, I just knew that this was something I had to do, and I just followed that.
You can check her out on her website. It's cinmed.org. You can also call her. Her number is 602-888-2320. We've got our lines open here. So if you're a woman, you get entered in to win a free hormone saliva test. It's $180 value, free to you or anyone you know. We also have anyone getting the Corin-specific technique. And that is, how long is that session that you do?
It's a half-hour session.
So it's a 30-minute session that you're going to get free from us. Men and women can call in for that. Our number here, 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You even talk about how the environment impacts our hormones. Let's talk about that too.
Right. So, people aren't that familiar with it. People come into my practice and they're drinking water out of plastic water bottles, and then they have a problem with their estrogen. And people don't realize that we're accumulating estrogen from our environment. There are over 50 chemicals that act as what's called xenoestrogens in your body. So what happens is that these chemicals mimic estrogen in your body. They act as if they're estrogen, even though they're not. And we get this from, pesticides, cosmetics, when we eat food that was, the chicken was fed synthetic hormones, or, the
Not
milk.
everybody is beautiful as you are, doctor. I mean, we have to wear makeup. What you do you suggest? Do you suggest do you help people with that? Because if you're telling us it's a part of your environment, do you help them kind of guide them what they might want to try?
Yeah, I try. I tell them try to get the things that have the least ingredients. Look for things at Whole Foods or Sprouts, or the more natural. I wear makeup myself. I do the best I can to get away from the ones that are loaded with chemicals, and just try to use more natural products.
So the environment has something to do it, and so the only way that you're going to find out, and a lot of people deal with issues that are totally not just we know that there's the night sweats. Right. But there's so many more.
There's so many more problems, right? And so I get women come in and they tell me, oh, I have problems with my memory. I can't focus anymore. I feel like I have fluff in my brain. And, and then I say, how do you sleep? And they say, well, I sleep fine, but I always wake up. After 2 to 4 hours, I wake up, and then they're awake for an hour or two. And these symptoms of that foggy brain and the insomnia, it's almost always, like 95% of the time, I find that it's the low progesterone. And many times, they say, oh, I had a hysterectomy 15 years ago, or I was in menopause 15 years ago. And they don't realize that it's just the hormones. And they now just dip down so low. And it takes so little to raise that back up, just a tad. We're not trying to give a woman her period or anything. We're just trying to get it up enough so that they don't have any symptoms.
So what do you offer them?
Then I work with bioidentical hormones, not the synthetic hormones, because the synthetic hormones, if you think of a puzzle piece, that puzzle piece doesn't look like the puzzle piece in your body. So that's why I work with the bioidentical hormones, because the puzzle pieces look the same. The hormone cream that you're getting and the puzzle piece in your body, they match. And so I work with that. And it's very confusing for both physicians and patients. Like, I have trained postgraduate education in hormones with the American Academy of Anti-Aging for Medicine. And so I'm trained in the hormones, and I work a lot with hormones. But people don't understand that there's a difference. They read a research article and they say, oh, estrogen causes cancer. But now they're realizing the bioidentical hormones act completely different in the body. And so you have to understand when you're reading the research article that what was it that they were testing. And sometimes the research articles don't even mention if it was a synthetic hormone or bioidentical, making it even more confusing for both doctors and patients.
Sure. Now, we've got our lines open here, and we have for you to be able to get either the free hormone saliva test, which is for women, and you want to tell them why that one is for women, that because why can't men use that either too? What's the difference?
It's a saliva test, so it's more accurate for women, and it tests all those 3 different estrogens and the progesterone, testosterone, and DHEA. For a man, he can just go do a simple blood test. Men are just so much easier. And we check the testosterone. We make sure that they don't have estrogen.
Yeah, but don't think you don't go through it too, guys, because you know you do.
And many times they come in, the guys don't come in until they have erectile dysfunction. And what they have found with research is that when a lot of men get the injections, like they get a weekly injection of testosterone, but if they have erectile dysfunction, that only works in about 51 to 53% of the time, versus a topical cream that works 81% of the time. So it's a big difference, the way you apply the hormone, if it's synthetic or bioidentical, and how that's going to work in your body.
Now, our number here is 602-277-5369. Excuse me. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. This is a free hormone saliva test. It's $180 value, free to you or anyone you know. Also, she's got the Corin-specific technique. Tell them about that.
The Corin-specific technique is a very gentle method of correcting the spine without doing the snap, crackle, pop. And it just uses a tool, an FDA-approved tool that's called OfferStim, that provides a light tapping on the body in order to correct it.
That's a 30-minute session that you're going to get, and that's both for men and women.
Yeah.
And our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. What do you see most in your office when people come in and they're tired? What do they say to you?
Well, people come in and they say they're tired. The thing with the hormones, right? That's the first thing I go to, especially if it's a woman that's in menopause. But the hormones is part of the endocrine system. So not only could those symptoms that they're experiencing be caused by the hormones, but could also be caused by the thyroid problem. So it's very common, and it's very common for women, especially over 50, that they have a thyroid problem and they have a hormone problem. And they're fatigued and they can't sleep. So
you got to get balanced.
Yeah, it's
right.
Exactly. Yep.
It's all about being balanced. And so that's what she's going to check. Everyone's going to get entered in to win that free. Well, it's a women only for that. You just make sure you understand that. It's a free hormone saliva test. It's $180 value free to you. Or if you know someone that's dealing that you know might need it, give us a call here at 602-277-5369. Toll free is 1-866-536-1100. Everyone's going to get the Corin specific technique. That's a 30-minute one. You get entered in to win for that. Give us a call here, 602-277-5369.